Well, here we are, Sunday the 14th of September, the 6th running of the Humber Bridge Marathon, and today it looks like being quite warm and sunny, and there's a lot of dropouts amongst the leading men, and I think possibly I should be dropping out as well, because I'm not really fit for this. However, I won't be able to continue this commentary, and I'll be handing you over to Rob Robinson.
Rob, just get the mic and show me the handicap here.
And here we've got the start of the wheelchair event. These runners are starting off 5 minutes before the rest of the field. They're going to go to hand. They've got quite a tough beginning. We've got to run up Boothferry Hill in a minute, which will take a bit out of them. So I see what you mean, yeah, he goes right on the start. Tell me when you're on and I'll... Are you on? And here we see the Radio Humberside van going off with Jim Dingwall, who's doing the commentary for Radio Humberside this year. He was favourite for the race, but unfortunately a back injury has curtailed any chance of him competing today. Some team out, as indeed does Sheffield. It will be interesting to see whether Sheffield or Sunderland take the team prize. Another runner we can see quite far up the field there in the early part is Watson of Springhead. Barry Watson, he's one of the leading local runners in the race today. Local runners are not going to feature that highly today, I wouldn't think. With Jim Dingwall out and one or two notable exceptions from East Hull not running today, we can't really expect to have a very strong local turning. Shane still featuring heavily now, but he won't later on in the race, I wouldn't imagine. To Hesel now, we're not far off the 1 mile point, and as you can see, there are large crowds lining the route in patches. The biggest crowds will be when we get it towards the bridge. Another early leader here is T.I. Corrin of St Helens AC. I think these are the group we're seeing towards the front now, and the sort of people who are going to feature, certainly for the first 10 miles in the race. Other runners we've got who should feature quite strongly in the race, as I say, Callum Bark, Colin Kirkham of Coventry Godiva, he should feature quite strongly, and John Barker of Grimsby is another entrant we probably will see in the field. The leading Sunderland runner there, Dave Dixon, will be featuring quite strongly, I would think, later on in the race as well. And here we see the runners coming around the roundabout at Hesel. We've just passed the 1 mile point here, and we've got a rather testing climb up Boothferry Hill. This lasts for the region of just over a mile, and then we come to the Humber Bridge roundabout, and the runners will then turn to cross the Humber Bridge. This is probably one of the toughest couple of hills in the whole course. It comes early on, which is a useful factor. And again, still making the lead with the I. Corrin of St Helens AC, leading a whole pack of runners, including the Catlow Cheltenham Harriers and Barlow of Horwich. As you can see, there are very few, in fact there are no local runners featuring strongly in that front bunch at all, which this is as would be expected at this stage. Now we can see the time at about the 1 1/4 mile point is 7 minutes. So this is a fairly sharp start on this particular section of the course, which has been notorious in the last couple of years for being run rather slowly. I think last year nobody went through the first mile in under 6 minutes. And here we are coming up to the bridge roundabout, and it's still Catlow out in the lead, along with Corrin. These two are featured strongly from about the half-mile point. Also quite well up the field there is Keane from Derby. There's quite a tight pack of runners there. Obviously nobody's prepared to make a break, but they're all going to stick together along this particular sector. They're coming to the bridge in a moment. This particular section is reasonably easy to run in this weather because the wind is not too bad. It's going to be more of a problem when they come off the other side, because you've got quite a steep climb up the hill to the roundabout at Barton. You're going to feel that quite strongly. Big crowd now watching on certain sections of the route. We should see plenty of people around near the bridge. We're now on the very approach to the bridge itself. We've got the toll booth coming up, and the runners, quite a pack of them still up front, with everybody else strung out some considerable distance behind. Again, we still see Catlow and Corrin in the first particular bunch. Up there also we see Hagan, and we've got Dixon, Dave Dixon from Sunderland there. He's going to feature strongly, I think, in this particular race. He's stuck in the pack all the way through. He's taking his turn at the front, but on the whole he's stayed in the middle of the pack. We're coming onto the bridge here. The runners have got quite a crowd to give them the support that they need along this particular section here. The runners themselves are not actually going to run on the road over the bridge. They're going to use the footpath. By this particular stretch of the road, they've covered something in the region of 2.5 to 3 miles, and they're quite well spread out, so it's not going to cause so much of a problem. One advantage they seem to have over last year is that they've got people coming through a gap in the crash barrier. Last year people had to run around the crash barrier, which caused a little bit of difficulty because one had to swerve and swing round. And it's the sort of thing that you lose your rhythm of on an ordinary marathon. You don't want to be doing that. Right, here we can see the runners going along the footpath section of the Humber Bridge. They're coming out over the bridge now. There's a bit of wind. Whatever wind there is, you do tend to catch on the river with it being so wide and open. But you get some degree of shelter from running on the footpath at the side. Quite a pack at the front, and they're split away from the rest of the field. These are the quality sub-230 men on the whole, and they're really going to push it and keep themselves going for quite a long section of the route. Another runner we can see up there, a local lad, although he runs to Sheffield now, is Carl Nightingale. He's, I believe, in that pack as well. Well, the pack split quite clearly now as we're coming over the bridge towards the 4 mile point. Spread out quite considerably. We're on the downhill section now of the bridge. It's just a slightly sloped downhill, and the bounce of the footpath allows you to get quite a good run in on this particular stretch. So if you feel you've got any speed behind you, you're going to get it here. The only trouble with running really fast on this stretch is you're going to suffer later on when you climb up the hill at the other side, and you've got to be able to take that as well. And we're coming off the bridge now. It's quite a very fast section along here, and out front again we've still got Catlow. We've got number 7 Hawes as well in that particular front batch, and number 6 Keane from Derby and County. So we've got quite a field there. They've really spread the pace out along this particular section of the road, and we're at 22 minutes now, and we're over 4 miles. We've got a very good view here. We're about the 4 3/4 mile marker here, and number 7 out front again is Hawes, with Catlow lying second, and we've got the Derby and County runner Keane in 3rd place as well. Other runners to feature here is Dave Ballystriders. He's well in, and the back of the bunch is brought up by Corrin of St Helens AC. These 5 have broken well away from the next bunch, which features Carl Nightingale leading with a couple of other Sheffield Harriers. They seem to have dropped the Sunderland lads, who seem to be in the pack behind. It's been quite a searing pace. We're now pulling up the hill to the Barton roundabout, and we'll be hitting the 5 mile marker quite soon. So it'll be interesting to get a 5 mile time for the race, of course, because you've got the quite a considerable pull up this particular hill. One or two of the runners won't have realised that you've got this particular pull up the hill. What they don't realise, probably some of them from out of town, is that in a minute it'll turn back down again, and they've got quite a fast run down into Barton itself. But we're coming up now towards the 5 mile mark. The course is mile marked from 5 miles out, so runners will be able to check and see what the mileage is, the mile times are at each particular post, and calculate whether they're running according to schedule, ahead of schedule, or behind it. Again, the lad with the rather wide arm action there, Hawes of Swansea, is pushing it well up the hill. A much more relaxed style there. We see from Catlow, who is running very economically, and in the middle there, number 6, Keane again, still featuring. These 5 are featuring very strongly again, having broken away from the second bunch. Second bunch, of course, includes Carl Nightingale and one of the other Sheffield runners there as well. Should be quite interesting to see what happens as we come now up to the 5 mile marker now, and we're coming up to the 5 mile mark in 26:35 past time for this particular section of the route. We can see the leading runners spread out here. We can see quite a contrast of styles. Number 6, of course, Keane, he's got quite an economical style with his arms, whereas number 7, Hawes, he spreads them out and runs flailing around. In fact, he appears to be suffering more than the others, but it's probably more his style of running. It'll be interesting to see later on. A very forceful runner here, number 12, is Corrin of Sheffield, of Sheffield, St Helens. He's running quite strong at this particular point, looking quite relaxed. It'll be interesting to see where this pack drops off a bit. We're coming around the bend now. The first water's been taken on, and the pack have stayed together at the moment. I suspect it will spring out a little bit now. One or two people are a little bit slow taking the water. We're coming into Barton itself now. This is a lovely long downhill stretch. You're going to get a lot of people out here giving you a bit of support and giving you a bit of cheer on, because after this it becomes a little bit of a lonely run. You're down country roads, not much traffic, small villages. The only time you see groups of people tend to be congregated around pubs, drinking beer, and you're at the time dying for a drink and thinking, I wish it was me doing that rather than doing this. Still, this is the dedication you have to put in to do a good marathon time. We're getting quite a bit close shot of the runners there because the time car was a bit slow getting around the corner. We're coming to the middle of Barton now, towards the Wheatsheaf pub, and we're going to see quite a large crowd of people gathered on this section to cheer people on. Again, it's quite fast along here because you're downhill, plenty of people to cheer you on, plenty of protection from the buildings. After this, you're out into open countryside, a run towards Barrow, and then through the very small villages. And it's quite a long time, really, before you hit anything in the region of a large town again, which, of course, will be the outskirts of Grimsby. This mile point should be around here somewhere.
You have to roll.
Have we actually point on by? Yeah. I knew it would be somewhere around here. We're coming out of Barton now. We're going to be hitting one or two testing hills in a minute or two. And again, as I say, you're out in the open countryside. To the left of the runners will be the River Humber and a broad expanse of fields between. So when there's any wind, you do tend to catch it on that particular section. We've got an interesting shot, if we could just see from the other side of the time car here, because we've got the leading group still remaining the same at about 5 runners. But behind them, the field spread out somewhat. The chasing batch of runners is actually split into 3, and there's 1 or 2 runners tagging in between both sections of the field. They're still keeping up quite a good pace, but there's 2 or 3 of the lads from the second bunch leading a chase to catch the first group. One of the Sheffield lads is up there, I noticed, quite strongly. There's a little bit of a climb here. You're going to feel this on the way up the hill. It's quite interesting. We're just past the 6.5 mile point here, and the leading runners are well up here, but if we just glance over to the bridge, which is over on our right, we can see the 4 mile point, and we can still see plenty of runners just in the distance, almost like ants, coming across the bridge now. Now that's the spread after 6 miles, so you can appreciate the sort of spread we're going to have by the time we hit the 22 mile mark. And that's one of the reasons why you need several hours at the finish to count everybody in over the marathon. You're going to have the leading lads here in perhaps 2:20, perhaps sub, and you're going to have other people coming in 4.5, 5 hours, and even that. You're going to have a fair spread of people on the entire route. We're going to get the opportunity to see some of the runners further back down the field. We've seen the front bunch go through any second now. Leading this particular bunch, again, we've got Corin, we've got Keane, and of course at number 21 we've got Day. That group of 5 have now been caught by 2 other runners. One of the Sheffield runners, Kappa, Liverpool, and number 782, I'm not sure who he is. He seems to be a late entry, but he's certainly sticking well up with the field. He's not one of the seeded runners. Now we see the second bunch. And in the second bunch here, one of the runners featuring very strongly here is Carl Nightingale. He's running along, stuck in the pack there, along with one of the Valley Strider runners and several others. Number 18 there as well, just tagging on the back of them, is Hall from Grantham. We've got 9 here, Carl Nightingale's Sheffield teammate, Bill Dominey, who has featured regularly in the Ferriby 10. Bit better weather today than we usually get for the Ferriby 10. And then we can see the considerable gap we've got before we see the third bunch of runners. And they're just coming up now. And they have a tremendous lead on anybody else behind them. So you can see it's been quite a fierce pace in this early stages of the race. Leading the second bunch of runners is Hagan of Sunderland with 17 Dave Dixon. These 2 lads who were featured very strongly early on in the race, they seem to be suffering a little bit now. If they've been dropped by this early on in the race, my guess is that unless the other runners know, they're not really going to feature in the first half. But of course, Sunderland have a strong team now, and they're sort of looking for the team prize along with Sheffield, I would imagine. Now with a considerable gap at about the 6 3/4 mile point here between the last group we saw coming through and this particular group. It shows the incredible spread in the field. These lads are probably about 2:35 men, and they're running a respectable time, but they've been completely dropped by the group in front. Leading this particular group has gone through, we see Wood from Grimsby Harriet. And then we see quite a considerable spread before we see anybody else. This particular group here are running about 6-minute mile pace, I would guess. I'm not entirely sure because we're not at the mile marker. We're looking at the time of 40 minutes, 16 seconds here. And you can see Pete Flatman stuck in the field at this particular group. But the group here is led by, well, I'm not sure who the man in front is, number 36, but he's got a couple of other lads with him there. One of the lads who was supposed to be going to be keeping Pete company pace-wise, Steve Dobbs, doesn't seem to be with them. I don't know whether he's dropped off the pace or he's decided to go for his own particular time. But Pete looked quite reasonable at that particular point in the race. Now we're going to see a lot more runners coming through in this particular batch here. We've got another Sheffield runner coming through there, number 30. That's Turner from Sheffield. He's I think, the 3rd Sheffield man through. And leading this particular bunch coming up now is Shane Page, who, remember, earlier on in the race led. Unfortunately, Shane knows about as much about pace judgment, unfortunately, as Attila the Hun knows about nuclear physics. But, you know, that's one of the problems we have with Shane when it comes to races. We also see another pace judge man there, Phil Dewberry. Oh. What a key left, isn't it? Yeah. We've got Paul Peacock gone through there. Well run, Paul. He's not out for as fast a time this year as he was last time, but he seems to be running quite well at the moment. I suspect he'll be well under 3 hours if he keeps that sort of pace up. We've got the first of the wheelchair runners coming through now as well. The wheelchair runners have had really quite a tough climb early on, because not only have they had to climb up Boothferry Hill, but they've also got to go over the bridge, which is quite a haul as well. Soon they'll be finding it a little bit easy because there's 1 or 2 more downhill sections in the second half of the race before we reach the flatter sections. Quite a string of runners coming, so let's see if we can pick out a few people whom we know locally. Well, we've got a man here, not a local one, Stanley from Manchester. We've got a Grimsby Harrier gone through there as well. Now we're going to see a whole range of people at the various times coming through at this point. My predictions are in a minute or two, we should see people like George Baker come through. Now here we see Steve Dobbs coming along. Now Steve was looking for a time of 2:40. I would suspect that at the moment that time is already out of reach, and I think Steve will be looking more like 2:55. I would think at this particular guess, perhaps 2:50. Well run, Steve. Just keep it up. Other runners coming along here. We've got a Halton Price runner here, number 84, and that's Tomlinson. He'll be in for a good time if he keeps that particular section up. And we've got Rogers from East Hull there. The runners are really spread out into groups now. They're not bunching the way as they were in the earlier sections. And one runner I can see approaching in the distance here, and it's going to be interesting to see whether he actually breaks the 3-hour time, is George Baker. George has run the odd marathon. George is much more of a short distance runner, really. 10k is much more his 40 and under. But he was aiming very decisively to break 3 hours this time. His pace judgment seems a lot better this time than it has been in previous runs, and we're wishing him all the best. In fact, myself, I have a bet on with Alan Fowler that he'll get under 3 hours, and I'm sticking on that bet at the moment. I'm sure George is running this in the right particular manner. Come on, George. I think this is an excellent time. We're getting quite a stream of runners coming through now. These people are going to be, on the whole, around the 3 hour, just over 3 hour mark. It's some reflection of the quality of the runners, just how many people can be this far up the field. What we haven't seen yet is we haven't seen the leading lady go through. Where? Oh yes, there we've got the first lady going through there, number 91. Yeah, that's Bland of Kendal AC. She's the first lady through. Something like about on just over the 3 hour schedule, I would imagine, at the moment. A whole range of runners coming up here. Just to pick one or two out from the field, we've got 67 Paget gone through there. Another wheelchair runner coming through at this particular moment in time. One lad here in Union Jack shorts, very patriotic, number 171. Before we do go through the field, that's Chris Woods. Now Chris is running quite smoothly here. Chris has had one or two bad marathon times. This time I'm looking for a good run from Chris. So he's cut his vest open to suit. We're going past the run at 164 there. That's Staples of Grimsby. We're also passing Dave Van Dam. Dave, I would imagine, will be looking for 3 hours on this particular route today. A variety of runners here as we come along the route. We're going to be coming across Chris Woods here. Chris is looking very strong with a new line in vest. I've not seen quite that particular style in a vest before. Still, it might be crude, but it looks effective. Keeping him cool. Hi, not too bad. We've got one of the Pocklington road runners there. Pocklington are a relatively new club in the area, and they're doing quite well. We're hoping that they're going to come around and run in some of the cross-country runs. And running very well here is Pete Chapman. Now, Pete is a City of Hull runner, more noted for his 800 metres to 5,000 metre running. But Pete's decided to have a go at the marathon, and he's running in aid of leukemia. He's also running a very good time. It's a bit warm today, and we're going past one of the sponge stations here. It's important for all these runners to be taking on water in small quantities early on, and also to be keeping themselves cool with the sponge. Certainly today's a day when you're going to need the liquid, otherwise you're going to suffer later on. There's quite a few people working up quite a lather already, if you noticed about it. On the other hand, it's one of those funny days. All it would take was a bit of cloud to make it a cooler day, but certainly these early stages, it's going to be a bit warm. Lady runner here, again she's in for a good time. One of our Lake District friends, A. Bland, I don't know her first name, from Kendal, but she's running quite well there. She seems to be way clear of any other lady. She's got no competition anywhere near her. I would think she must be running for somewhere near the 3 hour mark, or just under the 3 hour mark. Difficult to say, of course, at this particular stage in the race. Shot of a true marathon runner in action. This is George Slater. Quality ekes out of every muscle of his body, and you can tell from the way he's running this particular section. George is looking for a time of just under 3 hours. He's determined that I'm going to get this quid off Alan Fowley, and getting money off Alan Fowley is certainly a difficult thing to do, but you never know. We might well be in with a good chance today. George certainly looks smooth. He's certainly running very relaxed at this particular section of the road. Running alongside of him to keep him company at this particular moment. One of the lads we've got there is Pierce, who is an RAF lad, and I'm not sure who the other runners are, but they look reasonably smooth. They're taking a bit of wind to the road. Coming up to the 8 mile marker here, and we're on 50 minutes and 29, which is just outside of 6 minute mile pace, about 6 minutes 10, 6:15. Anybody who's running 6:15, if they keep that up all the way around, they're going to be running a very respectable time indeed. Something in the region, I would think, without working out closely, of about 2:52. We've got Nick there from Gould Viking Striders. He must be Gould's leading runner so far today. He's looking very relaxed, and he's running this quite smoothly. It's interesting to see whether he keeps this pace up towards the end. He's certainly benefiting from his increasing trip. Right, we're coming up to Steve Dobbs here. Steve's running a time of just outside of 6 minute miling, I would think, and I guess. He looks like he's in for a reasonably good run if he can maintain this sort of pace. He should give Steve a good run. Steve, unfortunately, in one or two of the other races, I think like last year, died rather a lot in the last section of the race. But he says he's got his training just right this year, and with the right sort of pace judgment, there's no reason why he shouldn't set a PB today. Yeah, he must be the first bloke. I wish I knew he was. He's still there anyhow. He seems to be doing okay, and he's up here, isn't he? No, they've got the wheelchair lads in. No, they're not in. Who got the leading wheelchair competitor? This is Steve Bomber. He's way clear of anybody else in the field so far as we can see. He's had one or two tough sections to do, yet he seems to have established a really good lead on everybody else on this particular section of the race. Now that's Steve Bomber, and he's way up with the front runners on the road. We're coming across Paul Peacock here. Paul, as I say, isn't expecting a time like last year's, but who knows? He's running quite well, despite the trauma of having had 2 weeks in the sun and having got married and moved house and the various things that go with that. He seems to be running very economically and very well. He's not running in a pack, he's running on his own, and he's got a determined look on his face. He could well be doing well at the end. Right, we're on the 10 mile marker here. We see a group coming up here. Pete Flatman's amongst them, and they're hitting 10 in roughly 58, about 58.40 something. They're going to hit 10 in. Pete's way below 6 minute miling then, which means he's well on schedule for his sub 240 run. The other lads with him in that particular group, including the down. A lot of personal battles going on all the way through this particular race. As you can see, the runners are quite strung out. Pete and that group quite sensibly kept themselves together in a batch, and they're protecting each other from what wind there is today, and also to some degree from the sun, which is quite appealing weather. We're still under 6 minute miling here at the 10 mile point, 59.28, and we've got a number of runners going through here. Amongst them, number 89 there, Lockwood of Hull. He's running very smoothly. I've seen him in one or two small races, but he doesn't actually run for anybody. Another runner coming up here, number 32. That's Rogers of East Hull. He'll expect a good time. Had a disappointing run in the Major Stone half marathon the other week, but I'm sure he'll make up for that today, running under 6 minute mile pace. Still just on the 16, we're just on the hour now, so anybody running now is running almost exactly 6 minute mile pace here. And amongst the people doing that, we've got Dave Dixon, Sunderland Harriers. I would think Dave's suffering a bit today because he's normally a bit faster rather than that. And Shane Page here, I think Shane and Phil Dewberry have got it wrong again. I'm sure they're running too fast at this particular point in the race, but I may well, a scuffle there. They're certainly running together in a bunch, but they do have this problem about running too fast early on, those two, in long-distance races. Phil Dewberry must have made a career out of doing that sort of running. Be interesting to see what sort of state Phil's in when we get to about the 18 to 20 mile mark. Right, we've got several other runners coming through at this particular point here. They're on 61 minutes, it's not a bad time. Number 83 there, Ryle from Newman Essex Eagles. We've got number 82 coming through as well, Small from Derby, 94 Ely from Cleethorpes, and we've got Paul Peacock coming through here. Paul's running a very sensible race here, number 60 Paul. Paul, first claim member of the City of Hull AC, but he's also president of Go Viking Striders. So we've got other runners coming through. We're still not reached 62 minutes, so these are all fast times. And here we've got number, I think it's a bit creased, but number 87, and that will be Green of Grimsby Harriers. He's lathering up a bit of a sweat, but apart from that, he's looking quite comfortable. And again, we've got the first of the wheelchair men coming up here. He's doing great here. He's really pulling through the field here again well. Other runners around him. Number 52 there. That's Stanley of Manchester YMCA. The next man, number 147 there. That's Taylor, Hull. Under 63, which is a good time in a 10-mile road race. And here we've got Steve Dobbs. Steve's running quite well here. He's not running on his 2 minutes 40 pace. I think I'm quite safe in saying that Steve won't do 240, but he's still got a good chance for 250, I would think. Or under at this particular point in the race. Seems to be running very smoothly. We've got quite a batch of runners coming along now. As I say, we're getting the times on with people who want to get under 3 hours for the marathon. Really, I suppose we'll be looking to get through in something in the region of 68, 69 at the most, perhaps 70. But really, you want to be that little bit faster, perhaps 68 at the most if you're going to keep it up. A whole range of runners coming up over here.
Not quite great. Michelle's coming up.
Oh, is he? Oh, Griffiths, yeah. We've got Bernie Charles here from East Hull coming through. Bernie, I know will be looking to break 3 hours here, and he looks quite smooth. Come along, Bernie. Well run. In the pack behind, we've got one or two other City of Hull and East Hull lads coming up. Certainly some City of Hull lads coming up. We might just be able to get them a time through 10 miles here. We're on 64 minutes at the minute, well under 3 hour pace. If George can keep this sort of pace up, George is going to do it quite well. Let's see, George's on 64.13, 64.14. He's going to go through about 64.30, or just outside of that. If he can maintain that sort of pace all the way through, then I think we're obviously taking account that he's going to slacken a little bit towards the end, and it's quite possible he might be on time for about 2:54, 2:55. Let's wait and see. Number 116 there. We've got Mr. Carter there of East Hull. And George is coming through at this very moment in 64.41. Looking a little bit ragged in the air, but perhaps he's poured the drink over his head. But he's looking quite smooth at this particular point in the race. He's no longer in the pack he was in before, though they've spread out along the road. And we've got the first lady coming along, so she's moved up the field, I would hesitate a little bit here to say. That's the lady, number 91, A. Bland, I think it's Angela Bland, from Kendal AC. 5, I should say, coming through here. That's Pete Chapman. He's running well again, and he's going through 10 in 65.24. That's a good time to go through 10 in. Well run, Peter. Peter, if he can maintain this sort of pace, he's going to be in for a good time as well. We're then also at the 12-mile mark, and we've got Steve Dobbs here again. He's still looking quite smooth. He's got a Steve Jones type marathon haircut for the day, to go faster type. Will Pete Blackman's haircut be enough for the race? That's what we must ask ourselves. This is a favourite watering point on the route. You'll get all sorts of people, including a lot of City of Hull AC runners who are not running, watching the race here. We're going through the village of Curtin Lindsay, of course, and we've got the watering point here. Right. Here we can see a shot of Paul Peacock as we're going past him. He's running very economically, and he's also been very sensible. If you look where he's running just off the road on the hard surface there. Now, it's a lot better than running on the loose chipping. You're not going to feel the nips through your shoes as well. Particularly if you've got a pair of racing shoes on that tend to be thin, you'll feel the nips on your feet. You can see most of the runners along here are taking advantage of that little piece of hard ground on the side of No, it's small. From across the river, this is a lad from Cleethorpes, number 94, DE line. Alright, Jim. We've just got the Radio Humberside van going past there. We've got Jim Dingwall out there commentating rather than running. This time last year, of course, Jim was out the front. This time he's having to make do with the commentary. But that, of course, is the fortunes of running. Now, as I've said, marathon running, particularly at this particular stage, is full of different personal duels going on throughout the field. And this is going to be one of the most interesting duels. It concerns Phil Dewberry and Shane Page. Don't be put off too much by Shane's strained expression. That's the way he tends to run in these sort of races. A very gutsy runner, as is Phil Dewberry. It'd be interesting to see if he now can maintain this sort of pace and not blow up towards the end. It's the front end of the field now, and we're going to get another shot here of Pete Flatman. He still seems to be running very smoothly, very economically. Perhaps he's on his way back. He certainly tucked in well there. He's just lying on the outside of Underdown from Invicta. Underdown's just taking a little bit of the wind off it. There's a block of 4 of them there. Number 81 there. That can't be number 81, that's got to be number something else, but I was going to say that's Phil Dewberry, but it certainly isn't, according to the number it is. So that block there, they stuck together for quite some time, I believe, on this race. And they're moving along quite well. Well up the field. Let's hope Pete's going to be on a good time. All Pete's after achieving today is a sub 2:40 time. Let's hope that that's what he's achieved in doing. We're at the 13-mile marker point here. This is just short, a shade short of halfway, 0.1 of a mile short of halfway. It'll be just interesting to see what this particular batch, which includes Pete Flatman, actually go through the 13-mile marker in. I think they're going to be just outside of 1:15, about 1:16, so they're going to be under 1:17 for the half marathon time at this particular point. It's quite an interesting change taking place in the last 400 or 500 yards, because that group that Pete's running in have dropped the 2 lads behind who were part of their pack originally. Several other runners coming up now, but as you can see, at this particular stretch of the race, and at this particular stage of the field, we're quite high up the field, the runners are very spread out. The further up the field, I think we're going to find, the more spread out people are along the route. We've got one of the strong Sheffield contingent going through there as well. That's Turner, number 30 from Sheffield AC. And here we see Mike Martin of Sheffield. He's another one of the strong Sheffield contingents, and races quite often in this particular area, in either the Humber Bridge Marathon or the Ferriby 10. He'll feature quite well in the Sheffield team. But we're getting way up the field now, and the real runners are really spread out now. On the field, we've got John Barker from Grimsby there in that particular pack, along with the Sunderland runner, I. Hagan. Again, I think Sunderland are featuring very strongly in the team race so far. We've got a Valley Strider lad there, number 28, that's Fludder race. He lives in Leeds. These 3 are well up the field, but there's still quite a good few runners in front of them. Very much spread out on the road. As you can see from the shot we've got now, you can see just how spread out the runners are. And the 2 runners just on the skyline in the distance, if you can pick them out, they are something in the region of half a mile clear of anybody behind them. Mile marker here. And we're in 1:22:34, and another team that we've noticed are featuring very strongly up here, Valley Striders. We've just passed one of the team, and we're just passing another 2 of them at this particular point. Hobson, of course, the Valley Striders, and number 21 there, N.D. Valley Striders are going to feature very strongly in the team. It's going to be a sad reflection on local marathon running efforts at the moment that we're not really going to have a local team that's going to feature that strongly, I wouldn't imagine. And here we've got another of the Sheffield team. This is Bill Dominey. Bill, of course, runs around this area quite often. Again, he's another strong runner in the Ferriby 10. He had an excellent performance last winter. Conditions on the Ferriby 10 last winter are about as different from the conditions today, though, as you could possibly imagine. High winds and freezing cold day, whereas today it's quite warm and quite mellow. And the wind isn't too bad. There's a little breeze, but not enough to discount or cause you too much problems. We're coming up towards the leading packs now. This is Barlow of Horwich. He's coming across from Lancashire, of course, for the run. He's well up the field. He's on his own. He's about 150 yards back on the pack of runners, which includes Carl Nightingale. Right. We're getting up to one of the leading packs here. We've got yet another Valley Striders runner there, number 26, that's TB. And also, of course, Carl Nightingale, very characteristic pose for Carl there, number 14. I think Carl's going to feature very strongly in these particular races. Although he runs the Sheffield race here, of course, Carl's a local lad. He comes from Hessel, and he was educated at Hull University. Carl featured very strongly in these races, City of Hull AC, and has carved himself out some very good marathon times in recent years. He's running well at this particular point in the race. He's in the middle of this pack of runners. We don't know quite whether the second or third pack. We suspect they're probably about the third pack. But there can't be that many runners left in front of them. Right, we're back with the leading pack now. We've gone through the 16-mile marker, and the man in front again at the moment is Corrin. This pack have something in the region of about a 500 to 600 metre lead on the second bunch, which included Carl Nightingale that we're just looking at. Other people to feature, of course, strongly in this particular group is number 4, that's Kappa, Kay Kappa from Liverpool AC, and number 11 there, that's Dave Catlow of Cheltenham Harriet. This particular group have run together quite smoothly. They haven't dropped anybody, as far as you know. They stay together in the pack. Nobody's made a break from the field. Different runners amongst the group are prepared to take up the runner. And at number 7 there, the one who has an apparently ungainly style, when you see him running, as we said earlier on, it did look as if he was tiring, but of course we said you can't really judge from people's styles, a wide variety of styles. That's T-Horse from Swansea Harriet. He's come a long way. He hasn't come quite far Swansea, although he's a Swansea Harrier, he actually lives in Leicester. This particular pack are going along quite smoothly. They've got a whole host of bikers and cars behind them, but right in the distance you can see the second pack just coming around the bend. Perhaps you can just pick them out. Now that particular pack, as I say, something the chasing pack, is something that is 500 or 600 metres behind. It's a fair bet to say that when we get into the last 2 or 3 miles, it won't necessarily be all of this 5 who are up in the front. Many people will tell you that the marathon actually begins at the 20-mile point, and it's the last 6 miles which is the most decisive. Who can last the field best, the pace best on early on? At the moment it's a question of fitting in with your pace, going through the rough spots, hanging on for the final burst in after the 20-mile point. Well, we've got another wheelchair lad here, one who's far further forward than the other ones. This is Graham Stones. He's way up the field here. In fact, he's in front of the leading runners. Graham obviously looks like he's a Great North Run veteran as well, because, I say veteran, I mean that he's run the race rather than his age. He's got a Great North Run t-shirt on here, and he's doing well on this particular section of the race. You can see the sort of gloves that you need to wear for this type of running, and this type of riding actually. That's pushing those wheels on that puts tremendous pressure on the hands, and you've got to need a very strong pair of protective gloves on to save the hands for the entire 26-mile journey. But he's doing very well here. He's maintaining his pace quite closely along with the leading bunch. Yes, lovely. Right, we've got the leading runners coming up now. We've got the procession of vehicles that are accompanying them. We've just seen the leading motorbike outrider go by. We've now got the Range Rover, which is signalling that the road is clear. And any minute now we'll see the clock car come through, a white Mini Metro carrying Miss Radio Humberside, followed very closely behind by the leading bunch of runners. If, as we suspect, the leading runners haven't broken out of their bunch at this particular moment. Interesting to just pick out exactly who was in this particular field here and see what particular time and position they are. No local runners featuring in the first bunch that we know of. As I say, the nearest thing to a local runner I think in the early bunches is Carl Nightingale. Of course it was a local born runner, but of course now lives in Sheffield. But Carl well in contention in that second bunch, but I guess I'm going to say that second bunch are somewhat down on the leader pack. My prediction is that of course the winner will come from that leading bunch, but of course we're only at the 18 and 3/4 mile point here. It's difficult to say exactly who's going to do what at this particular point. And here he comes. We've got the leading runner again, the leading wheelchair lad coming through here. Graham, come on Graham, well run. He's gained somewhat of an advantage on the following runners at this particular point. I think he's had a couple of good downhill stretches to get some speed up, and I wouldn't be surprised if he beats them all if he manages to keep that sort of point up in the race up here. Any second now we'll see the leading runner come through, the leading bunch of runners, because here comes the Mini Metro, which has the time clock on and accompanies the leading runners. It's going to be interesting to see just how far ahead the leading pack is from the second pack. Hello, we're talking about pack here, but we seem to have had a casualty from the front pack. Leading at this particular moment in time is number 8, Watson, Cambridge, with number 12, Corrin from St Helens. That pack's down to 4 because they've dropped one of the runners. He seems to have had a little bit of trouble and he's dropped from their lead. That's Keane of Derby and County. He's been dropped in the last half mile or so, and he's going to find it quite a tough struggle to find his way back from this point here. Right. We've got a tremendous gap, as you can point out, between the first gap and the last one. Now, I've put my timing watch on the fifth man there, who was just somewhat askew of the first pack. But it's going to be interesting to see just how far ahead that pack is of the pack that are chasing them. At the moment, we're something the fifth runner there is still something in the region of 23 seconds since he passed this van, and yet there's no other runner remotely in sight at this particular moment. And yet we know there are another pack of runners somewhere behind. We now see the other pack come to the corner, around the corner. They're around the corner, and it's 40 seconds since that fifth man went through, and yet they still have this particular section to run along here. Got Carl Nightingale again featuring strongly in this particular pack here. This pack hasn't shown, as far as I can see, any signs of splitting. It still contains the same group of runners as it did previously. I think they're about the same as they were earlier on. I don't think they've closed up very much at this particular point in time. But we've got Carl Nightingale there, coming through with number 26, Bean from Valley Striders, and number 1007, we don't know who it is. But that pack's running quite smoothly. There's no problem with that. They're looking very smooth. And again, you can see the distance they've got. They were something in the region of 1.5 minutes behind the leading pack. So they've got a lot of catching up to do. But of course we are at the 18.5 mile pack and point, and a number of people die at various stages on the race. Now we're going to see quite a gap between the next runners coming through. Now who's this man coming along here? He's adrift of the pack in front. It's interesting to see exactly who it is, and he's followed quite closely by another man behind him, of course. It's now 2 hours and 6 minutes, 2 minutes and 6 seconds since the leading runner, the fifth runner of that last pack went through. And here we've got number 18 again, that's Barlow of Horwich coming through. He's running quite smoothly. Number 9 again there, Bill Dominy, still maintaining his position. He's running on his own, he's not running as part of a pack. He's the second Sheffield man through, as far as I know. Considerable gap. There was something in the region of 2 minutes 30 seconds behind the fifth man of that first pack. Well, we've got another group of runners coming through at this particular point in the race. These runners are something in the region of 3 hours 22 seconds at the very moment. They're going to be 3 hours 30 seconds. 3 minutes 30 seconds behind the leading bunch. Another one of the Valley Striders team, number 28 there. That's Cluderay. And he was accompanied by number 24, Hagen. We're going to see a few others coming through here. Those runners went through 3 minutes 45 seconds behind the leading bunch. We've got a Bingley Harrier, a Grimsby Harrier coming up here. This looks like John Barker. He's something in the region, going to be something in the region of 4 minutes 20 seconds behind the front bunch at this particular point. And we are at the 18.5 mile point here. Yeah, this is Number 15, John Barker. He's followed very closely behind by yet another Valley Strider. And I know he's still split out a bit. This man looks like he's suffering a bit here. Number 16, that's Hobson. He was actually with the other Valley, one of the other Valley Striders earlier on. No, I say Hobson's still running quite well. It's the other Valley Strider, the one who was accompanying him, who he's dropped considerably over the last couple of miles. Yet that Valley Strider, of course, has a fair amount of ground on the one behind him, but I reckon he's going to find his last 8 miles a bit tough. And this particular man, number 21, that's Day of Valley Striders. He's still quite a bit clear of anybody behind him. He's gone through 4 minutes 52 seconds behind the leading bunch. Still creditable performance at this particular point of the game. We see another man with a very wide arm carriage coming along here. He's got quite a run on him, quite a rolling gait at this particular point in time. This is number 31. And number 31, this is Littlewood, Crooken District. He's from the north-east. Come on, the north-east. He's running very well at this particular point. And we've got number 17 here again. That's Dixon of Sunderland. He suffered a bit later on in the race. But he's not running bad. Dixon, I know, features quite strongly in some quite shorter distance races. Number 22 going through there, another Sheffield runner, that's Mike Martin. He's looking very smooth at this particular point in time. In fact, he's catching on that bunt, he's catching on the 2 runners in front. He's caught on them considerably. Mike Martin went through something in the region of 5 minutes and 40 seconds behind the leading bunt. We've had a considerably large gap between the last bunch of runners and this gentleman coming up here, who himself is well clear of everybody else in the field. This man is number 815, and he'll have to pardon me a minute while I look up his number in the book, because he's quite a far way down the field. Yeah, that man there was Drust of Tipton Harriers from Birmingham. He's come up from Birmingham for this particular race. Quite a few of us are going down to his particular race, the Tipton 10. There's only a gap here between that gentleman and the next runner. I would imagine that these runners are really, really strung out now. We're going to see some considerable gaps in the field until, well, for at least about the next 4 minutes. That gentleman from Tipton went through in 8 minutes 30 seconds behind the leading bunch at that particular time. We've got another runner coming up at this particular point here. This runner is number 35, that's Woodward. And he's unattacked, according to the form. He's likely to be willing with a chance to be unattacked runner's prize. He's from Hebburn, in the north-east. And he's way clear. He went through something region of 9 minutes ahead of 9 minutes behind the leading bunch. And here we see the next bunch of runners coming through. We've got Pete Flatman here. Pete's having a storming run. At the moment, there's something in the region of 10 minutes behind the leading bunch. Having a great run here. He's accompanied here by number 3, that's Forster of Sunderland Harriers. These 2 runners are something in the region of 10 minutes 30 seconds behind the leading bunch. I know, I wasn't. I was speaking into my. And we've got number 34 coming up here. That's Wilkinson of Roundtree's AC. He's the leading York runner, I think, in the field at the moment, running very smoothly. Well run there. One lad here, Sunderland Harry, is suffering a bit. I don't think Sunderland are going to feature that well in the team today. I think they're suffering a bit at this particular stage in the race. Number 36 on the other side is not a Sunderland runner. That is, I don't know the name of that. Somebody's not in the book. There's a Valley Strider. And number 54 there, that's Madison from Sunderland Harriers. Followed by number 55, well seated, number there, under down of Invicta. We're going to get quite a bunch of runners coming through at this particular stage in the race. Yeah, right. I think you're right, it's another couple of minutes yet. Several more runners coming through now. They're getting a little bit thicker as they come through the field now. They're certainly spread out along the field here at this particular point. Number 76 there. That was Loudon of Cleethorpes AC. And number 77, That's Haynes of Bingley Harriers. Bingley not featuring strongly this, but we've got another Sheffield runner coming up here. That's number 30. He looks like he's suffering a bit at this present. Turner. He was fair up the field, I believe, earlier on. Well run, Turner. You're doing all right. It's interesting to see just how far up one or two of the other contenders for high places were. We had several other people who were looking for 2:40, 2:50 times, including people like Steve Dobbs. I think he's way off that particular pace now. But people like Pete Flatman, they're going to look like they're running good time. Now, it's an interesting fact here is number 81 there and 56. They were part of Pete Flatman's bunch not so long back. Now, they've obviously lost a great deal of time here. It's 12 minutes and 29. That's something in the region of 2 minutes down on Pete Flatman at this particular point. And they were part of his team, or part of his team, I should say, part of his bunch at about the 14 or 15 mile point. So they're suffering and they've dropped a bit. Perhaps it's that the other group are putting on the screws a little bit more. But as you can see now, we've still got some considerable gaps. But my prediction is that in the next couple of minutes we'll see quite a few more people coming through. And there's still other gentlemen coming through in the distance. There are plenty of bikes accompanying people along the route. A lot of cars. A lot of people watching at the various points on the route. Whenever you come to a village, you see a group of people, quite often stood outside of the pub. It's very tempting for the runners themselves who are dehydrating at this particular point on quite a warm day. I wish I was having one, but you can always wait till afterwards. And here we've got number 63 coming through. Number 63, 63 is Hahn of Field Lane Joggers. There's certainly a lot more than a jogger, that's then. My most interesting point is to see just how the personal tussle between Shane Page and Phil Gilbert is going at this particular moment in time. I don't know. It may well be that we're going to have to drive off without seeing them. We'll give them about another minute, and if they're through in that particular town, we'll see them. Otherwise, I think we're going to have to leave them until they finish and see just who's lasted and just who hasn't. Other interesting people, of course, who are having the personal battles at this particular point will be people like George Slater, I should say, and people like Phil Dewberry, people like George Slater, people along that particular line. Number 74 coming through there. Number 74, that's Lally, Wakefield Harriers, followed by number 94, Eli, another Cleethorpes Harrier runner. Cleethorpes are featuring quite well for teams from the south side of the river. And here we see a runner having a marvellous run. This is Shane Page. If he keeps this up, he's going to smash his personal best. I'd just like to tell that Shane Page is 15 minutes behind the leading bunch and he's running really well at this particular point in time. And here we see what is an excellent time for Pete here. He's gone through 20 miles in 1 hour 58.50. Well under his 6 minutes per mile marker. And he's up to 240. If he can maintain that pace now for the last 6 miles, he's going to be under his 240 target by a bit. And he's got company there, of course, Foster from Sunderland Harriers. The two of them on the road. They've got the rest of their bunch completely now. And he's looking strong. And let's just hope he can keep it all together and have a good strong run. He's well strong point. Now we're going to have to race through the types of leading runners now to get a glimpse of them before we have to make onto the finish. Of Hebburn, he's not a member of a club according to his sheet. He stopped having a drink this time. He's decided not far ahead of him, which is going to go past number 815 here. That of course is Bruce of Sixton Harriers. He's well up the field. He's having a good run there. The weather's changing. It's been very warm and humid up to this particular point. Dark clouds appearing and a cold wind coming on. It looks like the back end of the runners could have a drenching. They certainly could have cooler weather. They'll be pleased about having cooler weather. I'm not so sure whether they want a drenching at this particular point. Number 31 there, Littlewood of Crooken District. He's having a good race here. Another one of the northeastern runners from Sunderland Harriers. And number 15, that's Barker, John Barker of Grimsby, of course. And another Valley Strider runner there, Dave. And of course, we've got another Sunderland runner there, number 24, that's Hagan. There's quite a gap, number 22. That's one of the Sheffield team. That's Mike Martin. He was well up earlier on, and I think he still is. And Hobson Valley Striders, he was another runner who was well up the field at that particular point. I think we'll probably catch most of the other runners within the next mile or so. Right there, another one of the Valley Striders team. They're very strong and in competition for the team prize of Valley Striders. This Bob Horrocks, he's another man who's featured quite strongly in the top end of the race. And the packs that we saw earlier on seem to split up because we're coming across one or two other runners now spread out. Here's Bill Dominy, famous for his running the Ferry 10 this year. Chandler. Now one man who's been dropped from the leading pack here, that's number 6, Keane, Derby and County. He, if you remember, was lying 5th when we passed through the 18.5 mile, when they passed through the 18.5 mile point. He was something in the region of 3 or 4 seconds behind the bunch, passing Carl Nightingale, who's making a very, looks like he's making a very determined run on this last section of the field. 797 now we're going past, and number 1007. It's got a face in, and the front Valley Striders runner there, that's number 20. Well, as predicted, the front bunch have broken up in this last stage of the race. That's number 7, who we've seen a member of the group quite well, Hawes of Swansea Harriers. He's been dropped somewhat by the next two runners who we're about to come up on, and Corrin. They're other members of the leading bunch. But it looks like the front runner or front two runners have really got away from the pack. There's one we're coming up to in a moment or so. Ah, no, we're coming up to the leader here in 2:07, and he's got something in the region of about a 40-second, 50-second gap on the second two, which were Catlow, I should say, and Corrin. Right, we're on our way through to the finish now. We have to get away from everybody so we can get set up to watch everybody come across the line. We've passed the 24-mile mark. You can reckon that the front two runners are going to be in within the next 11 minutes or 12 minutes at the most, so we have to get through to get set. Right, and here we are at the finish, and we've got the leading runner coming in here, Kevin Capper from Liverpool AC, and it's the time at the moment is 2:19.22, 2:19.24. He's going to not only break the record for the course, which is I think 2:20.56, but he's also going to break 2:20, which on this course and in these conditions is a good time. He's well clear, he's making the most of his run, and here he comes, Kevin Capper over the line. 2 hours, 19 minutes and 45 seconds. Well run, Kevin Capper. 25-year-old Kevin Capper from Liverpool AC. He receives his winning medallion at this point. Now, when we last were on the course, we saw the second place being contested between Dave Catloney and Corrin. But at the moment, we see Kevin Capper recovering from his exertions. He looks remarkably fit, having just finished a marathon in 2 hours and 19 minutes. Any minute now we could see Dave Catlow or Ian Corrin, who were contesting second and third place. There's a whole host of people down here at the finish. It's getting quite a carnival atmosphere. There's a jazz band. We see tents for refreshments, fish and chip stalls, the whole kit and caboodle. And we've got a running commentary from Radio Humberside New Star, Jim Dingwall. And here we see the second man coming in. And he's got well clear of number 3. He's going to be outside of the course, the old course record, but he's going to be doing a low 2:21 figure at this particular point in time. And it looks like it's number 11. It's Dave Catlow, Cheltenham Harriers. He's managed to break away from Ian Corrin at the end. Well run, well run. Not far behind him though, as his partner, part of that original group of 5, is Ian Corrin of St Helens AC. He's going to get across the line in under 2:22 as well. And here he comes, number 12. It's Ian Corrin, St Helens AC. He's going to come across in a time of 2:21. and 38 seconds, 39, 40 seconds. Well run. He's suffering a little bit there. I think he's found the last couple of miles has taken quite a bit out of him. But well run all the same. Fourth man coming in now. Here's a man with what we thought was the unusual style for a while. He's come back a bit, I think, in the latter stages after suffering a little bit earlier on. This is number 7, of course, Seahorse of Swansea Harriers. He's a man who lives in Leicester these days, but he's going to come across the line with a creditable time, 2:22.05. Well run. This leading group, which we saw earlier on, split around a bit, but we've got another one. If you notice, one of the problems later on in the marathon, as you're getting rather tired, is you tend to veer across the road somewhat. This runner, I'm going to have to look up his number, if you excuse me a second, 1007. He's come across in 22:29. 1007. That man there is Dear Wagstaff, another Tipton Harrier. All the Tipton Harriers seem to be coming late. And we've got the first of the Valley Striders coming in here. It'll be interesting to see who actually picks up the team prize here. My money at the moment will be on Valley Striders. This is 26, T-Bean, Valley Striders. Well run, 2:22.51. We've got a long wait here between this and the next one. I think we're going to have quite a wait. This stretched out. I would imagine in the next pack home we're going to find Carl Nightingale and the accompanying runners. But I would imagine there's going to be something in the region of about a minute or so before we see those gentlemen come in, yes. Somebody come in. And here we've got the first of the wheelchair athletes on his way. So on 2:23.33 is a creditable time for anybody. And in addition to the wheelchair, we've got one of the other runners coming in as well. It's a bit hard tough for a wheelchair on the grass, especially in the late stages of it where your arms are really gone. Now this man here, number 797. Costigan, another Tipton Harrier. It's quite conceivable that Tipton could take the team prize, because that's the second of the Tipton men home. We haven't really thought about, depends where the third man on the Tipton team is. They were relatively late entries, not late as such, but they came on to be seen quite late in the run. And here we see Carl Nightingale coming in a time of 2:24.22. Can you see the way it's veering across the finish? This is because, of course, your legs are tied at this particular stage. It's hard to keep yourself in a straight line. But he's done a very creditable time, 2:24.30. The first of the Sheffield men home. Well run, Carl Nightingale. Excellent, Carl. Well in. Carl seems to have caught quite a few of the people earlier on from earlier on in the race. He was off the front pack. We've got another runner coming in now. We're on 2:25.41 at the moment. It's one of the other members of that particular pack. I can't make out his number at the moment. Can I give him a selfie? And here we've got number 9. This is Bill Dominy. A good run for Bill, 2:26.08. He's come through well. Strong runner. Strong finisher. The second Sheffield man home. So we've had so far 2 Sheffield men home and 2 Tipton men home and 1 Valley Strider. Are these 2 in the road? Yeah. I have no idea. What? Yeah. We're on 2:26:39 now. It's interesting to see just how many runners get under 2:30. We've got two runners here who are just going to come in just outside of 2:26 by the looks of it. I don't think they're going to quite get in under 2:26, under 2:26, sorry, under 2:27 they're going to get in. Oh, this man's really suffering. He's pushing hard here. It's the second year Valley Striders, and he's coming for the line. He's really suffering here. This is number 28. And that's Claude Valley Striders, the second Valley Striders man home. So far we've had two Sheffield runners, two Valley Striders, and two Tipton runners. And who got number 6 coming home? Keane. He was in the leading pack early on, and he's dropped off a bit later on. Derby and County AC. 2:27:26 now, and another runner on his way in. This is Barlow, the Horwich runner, the Lancashire lad. He's held his position well, and he looks quite fresh as he finishes the race. He'll be glad that's over all the same. Well, 2:27:51 here. Considerable gaps on the field still, but we've got quite a lot of runners under 2:30. We never usually get a field with quite this quality under 2:30. We've got another one who's going to get under 2:30, way under 2:30 here. 2:28:07 at the minute. He'll get in about 2:28:30. He's coming for that line. He's veering across, as you can see a lot of people do, because the muscles are that tired and able to keep themselves quite straight. This is a third of the Valley Striders. It's going to be very interesting, the team prize here. This is number 16, Hobson. Valley Striders. Well run. Well run. And number 22 coming in now, that's Mike Martin, Sheffield AC. Gritty runner there. A gritty run by Mike Martin. 2:28:42. Are we going to see anybody else under 2:30? And if so, by how much? The skies are darkening. It's a lot colder than it was early on. In the early part of this run, a lot of people will have suffered from the heat, because it was quite hot for what we've had, considering what we've had recently. But now it's quite cool, and in fact, it looks like, from the dark clouds hovering overhead, that quite soon we could have a lot of rain. I recall about 3 or 4 years ago, we had a thunderstorm, a tremendous cloud burst around the 3-hour mark, around the 3.5-hour mark. Let's hope that's not repeated today. Marathon runners like it to be a bit cool, and they also like it to be wet on occasion, but I think in this very late stage of the race, I think the last thing that they would really want would be a heavy rain. But it doesn't look like anybody else is going to get under 2:30, because we're on 2:29:49 now. We've had a quality field under. I reckon we won't see anybody else before about 2:31 at this particular race. Yeah. We've got the two organisers on the route here, Alan Turner and Phil Crop. They're quite pleased with the way it's gone so far. The organisation's been quite slick. Anyway, we must turn back to the field now, because we're on 2:30:21, and we've got another runner appearing in the distance. He'll get over about 2 hours, just under 2:31 with a bit of luck. He's coming on the straight line. He got no challenge at all. He's just having a quick glance behind him. He's obviously very, very tired, and that line is still a way off. You can see the way he's veering across. You can tell how tired he is, the way he veers around. His leg muscles not allowing him to keep in a straight line as much as he'd want to. Yep. 2:31. He's not going to attempt to break 2:31. He's just so tired. It's just been a question of getting those legs one in front of another across that line. Well run. And that's number 782. And number 782, if you pardon the minute, I'll just look at it over that. Steve Chandler, the third Tipton Harrier home. I think it's going to be very interesting to see who's actually got the team prize. This is his prize from Radio Humberside, Miss Radio Humberside, I should say. 2:31:31 now. Pete Gordon wasn't that far down the field when we saw him at 18.5. it'll be interesting to see just how close he gets to 240. Will he get under 240? It seems quite possible if he maintains the pace that he was running that he'll get under 240 quite easily. However, it'll be the first to admit, the last 6 miles are quite tough. In fact, the race, many people would say, starts from 20 miles. And here we see another runner come on. We're on 2:32:01 here. A lonely figure. The last 2 miles are very, very lonely in the terms that you've got nobody very much to run with because you're spread out. It's nice to have the crowd at the end to chivvy you along a bit. This is a Sunderland runner. And I would imagine, I can't figure out the rest, it's Dave Dixon, Sunderland Harrier. 2:32:25. I think Dave will be a little bit disappointed with this time. I think he would have expected to run a lot faster, but he seems to go off the pace from early on. Still, 2:32:33, he's got his qualifying time. Pained expression on his face. He's got him. He's the third Sunderland man home. So we've had 3 on from Tipton, 3 on from Sunderland, and 3 on from Valley Striders. I think it's going to be between Valley Striders and Tipton who actually does pick up the team prize. Again, it's going to be quite interesting to see. There are 3 good team efforts. We're not going to see any effort from anybody from East Yorkshire or North Lincolnshire for the team prize in the same sort of context because nobody's got a team out of the same sort of quality this year. It'd be nice to think that in the future year we could rectify that. Yeah. I think Swain's way up, isn't it? Have you switched it off? You just gun it on, have you? Yeah. Oh, the face that you... There's another one of the Valley Striders lads coming home now. He was running in a pair with the lad who finished some positions earlier, and he dropped quite a bit over the last stage. I would imagine he suffered quite strongly over this last stage of the race. But he's going to come home in a time of 2:34, about 45 by the time he gets across that line, 46 or something like that, by the time he gets over. That's number 21, that's ND, Valley Striders. He lives in Chipley. Well run, 2:34:47. He's followed, not that far behind, by 31, this is the Cook lad. This is D. Littlewood from Cook, he lives in Bishop Auckland. And that's a good time, 2:35:09. Well run, Dave Littlewood. We've got I think it's a Tipton runner coming in now. Just have to check. This will be the 4th Tipton man home. Tipton have got quite a bit of quality. What am I talking about? Yeah. That's... Druff, yeah. Hey, Druff. Tipton Harrier. 2:35:21. Well, we should see Pete Flatman quite soon if he manages to maintain his form over that last stage of the race. If he manages to keep off the bad luck which has dogged him in several races this year. He's got just over 4 minutes left. He wants to get under that 2:40 barrier, which was his aim for this particular run. Anyway, we've got another runner coming in now. It's in your road. We're on 2:36:01 now. And here he comes. Another one of those last yards is pain to this man. He's coming in, but he's welcoming the cheer. It's number 35. And that's M. Woodward of Hebburn. Unattacked. He could be well be the first ever 10th man home in the race. Oh, this man's got quite a fast finish. He's coming in without messing about at all. Number 36 here. I don't know his number, but it's not down in the book for some reason. Number 36. There's another one of the Valley Striders, lads. Come on, Pete. What are you going to do? John Barker here, Grimsby, 2:37:18. He seems to have died a lot in the last stages of the race. 2:37:21 here, John Barker. He seems to be further up the field earlier on, I believe. But he's not going to be determined effort. He's going to get in about 2:37.44, something like that, 2:37.40. One. Well run, John Barker. Well home. Well, it's really nail biting here. Is Pete Flatman going to get under 2:40 or not? This is really going to be clean. And here we've got another man who's making a determined aim for that line. He's after getting under 2:38. He's not going to do it in 40. He's going to be outside of 2:38, yeah. Number 77 there. And that's L. Haynes Bingley. Another native of Shipley. Well run. And here he is, Pete Flatman. He's going to get under 2:40. He's going to get under 2:39 with a bit of luck. Now, come on, Pete. This is where he'll pull blood and guts out. 2:38.22. 24, 2:38.26, 2:38.28, 29. Come on, Peter. 2:38.32. Come on, Peter. He'll be going to that line now. He'll be looking at that clock. 2:30. He's got 2:40 under his belt, but he's going to get 2:39 under his belt. Come on, Peter. This is a great return. Just keep coming for that line. Keep coming for it. 2:38.45, 2:38.46, 2:38.47, 48, 49, 50. Well in, Peter Flatman. He's achieved his aim. Well run, Peter Flatman. Yeah, Peter Flatman, first city of Hull run, indeed first runner from Hull home this particular time. Well run, Peter. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think he dropped the gent he was running alongside with earlier on. Another man coming for the line now, 2:39, he'd be 17, he'll be after breaking that all-important 2:40 time, and he's going to do it. This is number 89. Lockwood, Mike Lockwood from Hull. Well run, Mike Lockwood. Isn't that you? Yeah. Excellent run there, Mike. Yeah. Well run, Mike. Excellent time. Well, I don't look like we're going to get everybody else under the magic 2:40 mark today. It's not the easiest of courses. Different marathon courses, well, there's really horses for courses and different types of marathons. The Humber Bridge isn't acknowledged as being one of the fastest courses by any means, so to do under 2:40 on this course is by no means a real achievement. One of the most interesting things is going to be seen is just how far out the field Shane manages to come, or is he going to blow later on? Okay, no problem. Yeah. Yeah, great. Well, we've not had a chance to get Pete Flatman on camera yet. I think he's in need of much needed sustenance, but I'm being assured that he's very happy with his time, very pleased, and so are we. He's had some very bad luck in the last year, and let's hope this is a precursor of good times to come. Anyway, just outside of 2:40 here, we've got number 2 coming home. Is it number 2 or is it number 3? I'm not quite sure. It's number 3, I should say. Forster, Sunderland Harriers, make their 4th man home, 2:40.51. Well run, Sunderland. And there we are, number 76. That's Loudon. So Cleethorpes, they say, another Paul Loudon, another one of the Cleethorpes men, and he's going to get home in a good time there. 55 coming home now. This is Underdown in Victor. He's a Southerner, native of High Wycombe, or lives in High Wycombe, I should say. Arms down here, this man's determined to hit the finish. 2:41.41, he's going to get under 2:42. This is number 63. Behan, Field Lane Joggers, Derby. As I said before, you know a jogger doing a time of 2:41.52. Well run. The next one is going to be in over 2:42. They're starting to come in a little bit faster now. They're sort of spread out relatively evenly. We seem to be getting one runner about every 30, 35 seconds, I would imagine. Well, that's what it seems like. I think this is a Sunderland Harrier. I may be mistaken. We'll soon see. Number 24, Haggard, Sunderland Harriers, yeah. He lives in Washington, Tyne and Weir. Or I should say County Durham, really. And there he is, Hagen, across the line, 2:42.32, well run. .242.45. Now, the interesting question is, to me now and for the rest of us, is just how far out the field is Shane Page going to manage to come. He was running exceptionally well when we saw him at 18.5 miles, but of course it's a long way in from 18.5 to the finish. But I would hope that he's blowing up. Shane's going to run a PB today, even if it really drops his mileage. Drops his speed per mile. Shall I pick my neck out and say that we'll see Shane Page home in under 2:50? Have we? Yeah. Well, that's a pity, isn't it? Well, here we've got one of the Sheffield lads coming in. Sheffield being represented very strongly today. Number 30. And here we see coming home Turner, R. Turner, Sheffield AP. 2:43.79, and the grin on his face says it all. Go on till he's finished. I hope he's pleased with the time. 53 coming in afterwards. That's Haynes. And number 54, another Sunderland Harrier there. That's J. Madison. 7:46 coming in. Now it's off. 59. Pennington of Pembroke. Well run. 2:44.11. Number 81 coming in now. Number 80. That can't be number 81. Number 61. No wonder I've been so confused all the way through. That's the SCM Chemical team from Grimsby. I'm not sure whether they're an athletics team or not. Number 94 coming in now. 94 is going to cross the line. That's GUI, another Cleethorpes safety. Cleethorpes have run a good race today, team-wise. They're not going to win the team prize, but they've done the best of any team from East Yorkshire or North Lincolnshire. This man coming in now, yeah, he's rolling. Is he going to get in that 2:45? He's seen that barrier. He's going to get in. He's going to do it. He's going to get a second to 200. 74, just under. That's M. Lally, Wakefield Harriers. Well run. On to 2:45 now. We've got several intriguing questions from a whole point of view in this particular race. Will George Baker get under 3 hours? Sorry, George Slater. Will George Slater get under 3 hours? Will Shane Page get under 2:50? Will Wood be all together for once? Chris Wood tends to suffer terribly just before a marathon. He seems to be quite cool and relaxed before today. Will he get under 3 hours? That's another question we ask ourselves. Just how far will Steve Dobbs be out from his aim to run 2:40? Here we see number 34 coming over the line now. That's W. Wilkinson, the first round three's runner home. Suffering a little bit more than he looked earlier on, but a witness after 26.2 miles. Well run. The women's race certainly is less of an event than it was last year in the sense that we're not going to pass. By this time last year we'd had the first lady home, so there's no way we're going to have the women's record challenge this year. We're on 2:46.25 now. Must say the big question is, will Shane Page get under 2:50? This is the big burning question of the day. And here he is veering across the road a little bit, this gent here, like they all do. You want to keep in that straight line, you want to come in the shortest possible route, but you just can't keep your legs as straight as you wanted them to. 56 there. P. Page, Louth Harriers, the first of the Louth Harriers zone. Well run. Still very spread out. You can see just how much quality we had in under 2:30, and yes, you can see just how hard it is to run, say, sub 2:50, because we can see just how few runners there are coming in at this particular point in time. And remember, we've got some of the best runners in the north, some of the best runners in the area who've turned out today. Perhaps not in as thick a number as they would for something like the Ferriby 10, just because of the shorter run, you can run several of them in a year, but plenty all the same. Right, 250.21. We still haven't seen any sign of Shane Page yet. He won't be far behind, you can guarantee that now, I would think. I bet Shane's suffering a bit now, though. Anyway, here we are. So a 73. M Shield, these Polarias. Well run, M Shield. And we've got number 41 coming in now. So number 41, we're talking about number 84. It's Tomlinson, yeah. 84. Yeah. The first of the Holton prize winner. Well run, Alan Tomlinson. An excellent run. Did he? Yeah. Dave MacDonald will be very pleased with that. The first of the Holton prize men home in 251. Now let's see, where is Shane Page? This is the big question. Now looks like, unfortunately, Shane must have blown a bit towards the end. This has always been a problem with Shane on these sort of races, but pace judgment's never been Shane's strongest point. But nevertheless, let's see where he is. Anyway, we've got number 87 coming home now. Green of Grimsby Harriers. Well run, Green. And number 97 there, that's B. Volunteer, Morton Striders. He lives in Doncaster. We're looking at our watch, under 252. It certainly appears that people like Shane have had troubles over the last 6 miles, because he was certainly in front of several of the runners who've come in so far. Well, we're on 252.29, 252.32 I should say by now, and we've got another runner coming in. They're still very, very spread out at this particular stage of the race. Oops, you nearly fell over. Your legs are so tight at this time, you change onto the grass. This man's got cramp, he's cramping up fast. Luckily he's got nobody running in after him. 114, this is B. Marshall of Riddens, a Scunthorpe man. And there he comes across the line, just under 3 hours. Oh, and is he going to suffer from cramp at this particular point in time? He surely is. Well in. Several people coming out. I see we're getting a bunch of people coming up towards the line now. Number 93 here. That's B. Dixon, Heckman Dwight. Unattached runner, 253.22. 112 following him in. D. Peacock, Pocklington runners. The first of the Pocklington men. Well run. 287 followed in. 999, look at his number. 253.35 is coming in. 898, a sudden old burst of people coming in across the line together. 79. That's J. MacDonald. Oh, good man. 135 there. We've got an Elvic man there. 95. Yeah, great. The Elvic man, 95 there. That's C. Knox. Oh, the Elvic. I'm talking about Keswick. Well run. We've still got no Shane. Shane really must be suffering over the last few miles. Thanks a lot. No Paul Peacock either, who was running very well early on. Problem is that, yeah, we've got somebody coming in now who's a local lad. I think, oh no, we've got a Valley Strider coming in. 123. Pete Cusack, Valley Striders, he lives in Leeds. Number 80 coming in here, 254. Somebody there yelling, I'm glad it's over. I think everybody will be feeling like that when they get across that line now. But they're thinking different when it's like, and here he is. He's in for a shit PB. It's going to be a 255, huh? It's not quite what he was looking like doing early on, but it's going to be a PB. He'll be over the moon with his time, you know, will this lad. Come on, Shane. Shane's going to be in under 250.30. Come on, Shane, you can really get this one in. This is what it's all about, Shane. Give it some grit at the line. Let's have a sprint. That man's going to catch you otherwise. No, I don't think he is, Shane. I think you're going to do it. This is a great time, really, for Shane. And look at him limping. He must have suffered something awful during that last few miles. But, by, will he be pleased when he gets across that line. Come on, Shane. You're really going to do that one well. Well done, Shane Page. What an excellent run. Did he suffer a bit late on, Shane? Followed by 85. And 85 is Seascape of Sheffield. Well, I'm very pleased. That's a PB for Shane. We probably thought the way he was running at 18 that he'd do about under 250, but he suffered a lot, obviously, later on, like a lot of people do. As I say, from 20 to the end, it's almost like, well, it's almost like running the other 20. And here we've got 2 wheelchairs coming in. Oh, sorry, 1 wheelchair just coming in. Greenpeace runner there, 132. Our Rainbow Warrior there is C. Harris, East Solarian. Well run. No, he's the second. We've got a second wheel. Is it the second? Yeah, the second wheelchair man coming in now, number 86. And here's a very good time. Dave Van Dam. He's been running several times around these sort of marks. Third City of Hull Runner Home. Well run, Dave Van Dam. Well run indeed. Third City of Hull Runner Home. Just in front of the Sunderland man, number 65, Dave Dixon. He's suffered a bit on the way in. And here's the first lady. Number 91 in 2:57.05. Come on, Miss Bland. Well run. Well run. 2:57. A very creditable time indeed. And she's beaten some very good runners along this course. She's run a very even pace throughout the entire race. Well run. Well, the big thing now for many people is the target is to get under 3 hours. It's going to be interesting to see just how many people get under that magic 3 hours. Like, will Paul Peacock do it? Will I or the quid and beat, will George Slater do it? That's the most important thing to me, because I've got a quid on with Alan Fowley. Knowing Alan Fowley, I'll owe him a quid. And here we see somebody who's going to be over the moon with his time, coming in the distance there. Mr. Woods. Come on, Mr. Woods. He's coming in the distance there. Chris Woods, here he comes. This is certainly his best performance in the marathon. He's tried so hard for so long to get under 3 hours. And this is going to be a great achievement for him. He's going to be very pleased with his time. He's run a very balanced race. He's going to be in 2:58.20, I would imagine. It'll give him a new zest for running for the winter, because he's a killer on the cross-country circuit. Well run, Mr. Woods. Well run, Chris Woods. An excellent run, 2:58.20. Well run, Chris Woods. You'll be pleased with that, won't you? Well, we've got 90 seconds left for people who want to get under the hour. Will George Slater save me a quid? I've got a feeling he won't. I should never bet with Scotsmen. That's the trouble. I've got a quid on with Alan Fowley. 71 coming in there, that's it. What? That one's 3 hours. 3 hours, yeah. George isn't in yet? He's not in yet. No, he's let me down. He was running very well when we saw him at 18, but he's not rolled up. Any comments on the race there,
Good race, really. It's very interesting to watch, and very fast finish by Kevin Carter. He's looking really impressive.
That's right.
Must have run inside 33 minutes for the last 10k, so aye, nice going.
Yeah, very nice indeed. That was Jim Dingwall. Peter Plattman's very pleased with his time as well. He's beaten his target. That's right. Yeah. So as he said, he won't have to queue up outside the post office to go to London. Which is what he was worried about. He thought the ignominy of queuing up outside of the post office was going to be bad. Well, I'm afraid to say I think George Slater's let me down here. Alan Fowley wins again. It looks that way. Oh, who is this just in the distance? No, I'm out of luck. Oh.
How about Shane? Is he,
Shane's in. Shane came in 2:55. He obviously suffered a lot from 18 because he was well up at 18 and a half. But he said he had a bad patch, but he's very pleased with that, yeah. We've had Dave Van Dam home. Yeah. So he's the third City of Hull man home. Well, we've outside the 3 hours. Alan Fowley, your quid face. Number 90 coming in, and I really thought that quid was it. 2 Grimsby, East Solarian. A Hornsey man. 96 there. We've got Blastland, Vale of Aylesbury. He's a Tring man. From Tring. 72 there. Fishburn. Well, of course, once again, we seem to have the Phil Dewberry phenomenon. If you think of the pace that Phil was running early on, he should have been in about 2:40. Again, it's a question of balance. Another person who obviously has been suffering later on in the race, is Steve Dobbs. Steve was hoping to be under 3 hours. He was hoping to do about 2:40, but unfortunately we haven't seen Steve yet. Let's hope he's going to finish the race. Paul Peacock coming in now. Paul did about 2:42 last year, I believe. But this year, getting married and moving house and various other things has meant that he hasn't been able to train to the same standard as he did last year. But it's still a very creditable run, given his level of training. The problem is that if any run's going to find you out for lack of training, it's going to be the marathon. 125 there, yet another Tipton man. Tipton has turned out in quality today. Pete Kidd, a native of Wolverhampton, lives in Wolverhampton. Paul Peacock, Keith Peacock coming in here. 3:01:30. 3:01:32. He's going to get in 3:01:35, 36, 37, 38, 3:01:39. Well run, Paul Peacock. A man who's running on low training. Well run, Paul. You haven't seen George Slater out there on the route, have you? Other interesting people to see how they get on in the race, of course, are Pete Chapman. Pete, a very experienced runner, but an absolute novice at marathon running. 124 coming in there. That's Pete Murphy, another Pocklington runner. Pocklington are really coming on well this year. 3:02:14. He's suffering now, but he'll be better later. And the man determined effort for the line here. What will Pete Chapman do? This is going to be the interesting thing. Pete Chapman, as I say, a novice when it comes to marathons. A very experienced runner of 800 metres to, say, 10k. But he's never run anything longer. It's quite a jump up to the marathon, but he's running a very good course. Here at Phil Dewberry, 3:02:49. A well run. I bet he collapses on the line. He usually manages to do something like that. Not exactly the man with the best pace judgment in the world, but by God, the man with about the best guts. If you ever say a man runs himself off his feet, it's Philip Dewberry. He'll be okay in a minute or two. He's just feeling a bit rough now. Better. And here's Steve Dobbs suffering something tremendously. Steve will be very disappointed here. He was after a faster time than this. But it's over with. He's done it. Another Easter Larry there, number 306, coming in. But well run, Steve Dobbs. Well run, Steve. Hard luck. Well, yeah, round it off, yeah. 166 coming on there. Argo, another tax runner from Hull, not a bad time, somebody ought to sign him up. Phil Dewberry's still in a bad way in the 10th, he's had to be covered over. Oh, look at this for a determined finish. Another Pocklington Roadrunners. Aren't they coming on well, Pocklington Roadrunners? 161 there. 8. Aisley. And there's another wheelchair man across the line, and 107 coming in there as well. Well done. 107, that's P. Locking, North Somerset. And North Lincolnshire runner there. 240 coming in then. 240 and 159. The big burning question now is just where is George Slater? The man was running very well. $157 coming in over the line at this particular point here. 157 there, that's C.S. Baker. Balsala. Boundary Horan Balsala, I think he's an Ireland man, Southern Ireland man. 231 coming in there. G. Cook, Grimsby Harriers. And here's Oh, he's coming across the line. A Holton Place man there. 192. That's A.D. Moore. Holton Place Roadrunners. Bridlington man coming in now. 1028. Well run. 306.01. Number 70 coming across the line. That's B-Friend, Brighton and Hove. He's come up a long way to run 26 miles for the day. He lives in Hove as well. But we've had the first lady home, but we've seen nothing of any other lady yet. Could this be one who's coming in the distance now? 174 there. There's Mike Smith. He's Solarian. And 133 coming in now. That's our Hamilton of Grimsby. 127. That's Dobson, Bingley Harriers. Lives in Baildon. Well run. Yes, this is the second lady coming home. We're not sure who it is yet. We'll try to pick her out. 206.56. Sorry, I should say 306.50. She did 206.56, she'd be inordinately pleased. She would have to work again. 150. That's Barbara Brown, of course, the Grimsby Harrier. And there's Nick, the Go Viking, the first Go Viking man home. Well run, Nick. 146. Look at that cheer on his face. He's really pleased. It says it all, doesn't it? But the question is still, where is George Slater? Eckington AC coming over the line now. And we've got 210. Jay Weston of Hull, unattached. Good run, well run. Oh, 164. Look at that man's expression as he came over the line. One he's pleased to be over. He's from Grimsby. SDH Staples. Well, here's a man who looks like he's veering a little bit. The way you tend to do at the end of these races. What's he going to do? He's number 57. I think he's had a bit of a hard time out on the route. Yeah, B. Watson, full spring head. I think. Yeah, first spring head man home. Well run, first spring head man home. Suffered a bit over the last few miles. Oh, last 15 he says he suffered. There's nothing worse than suffering for the last 15. 802 coming across the line now. Everybody looks at the clock. No watch on. He looks at the clock. 201 coming over the line there. But Donahue, the Noddle Hill Youth Club. Presumably that's Noddle Hill Brand's home. It's not the first Brand's home, because Shane Page has that honour. 176. D2 Hallamshire Harriers. Another 117. G Platt of Beverley. Good run by Jeff Platt there of Beverley. He'll be pleased with that, I hope. Well, there's going to be some people out there walking. Now we think George must be walking. We've got Pete Chapman to find. Yeah, I would imagine Pete will be doing about 3:15, I'd have guessed. 122. That's M. Southwick Riddings. Okay then, yeah. And a Stone Master Marathoner there. 187. That's E.J. Atkinson, who lives in Ruisley. 328 over the line there, limping a bit. He won't feel like going out and doing the 10k tomorrow. 425, look at that expression. 151 there. That's F. Horsefall, Barton and District. Yeah. Yeah. Number 83 just come across the line there. That was SLS Royal, Newman Essex Beagles, very famous team. And burning question still is George Slater going to get in front of Pete Chapman? Will it happen? Is George Slater still out there? Has he slipped through and we haven't seen him? And why do I owe Alan Fowley £1? 82 there. J. Small Derby. Well done. 2:27. That's PG Cook of Cleethorpes KP, and is in Grimsby. Cleethorpes have done very well today. I haven't suggested they've done far better than Grimsby have today. In fact, I'd say they've done far better than City Hill in terms of numbers of crossing under 3 hours. Hey, we're on 3:11:10 now. People are still coming in, ever more fitter, but not in a great flow. They won't be in a great flow for at least another quarter of an hour yet, I wouldn't imagine. I mean, a number of people out there obviously suffering something. 261 coming in there. That's A. Cope, Handsworth Roadhog, Sheffield. And he's coming along with 190. 190 there is W. Rawson, also of Handsworth Roadhog. So the two Roadhogs coming together. Let's hope there's not so much trouble with the traffic for Roadhogs. 411 there. And number 113, a determined run for the finish there. My man behind him going to get that line. Look at him come. He's seen it. 275. Whoa, just give it an extra bit. That's it. Well over. He's looking better than many people do at the finish. A reward. Well, we're on to 2:12:08 now. Quite a few people run for charity, of course, in marathons, and one of the figures we've got running for City of Hull today for marathon is, sorry, for charity, is Pete Chapman. Pete's running in aid of the Leukemia Fund, so he has to finish, whether he does 4 hours or not. Be interesting, Pete, just to where about Pete finishes. Anyway, 2:86 coming across the line there. Further down the field, I don't suppose we will pick him up because our video camera won't be running on much longer than 2:15. We've got people like Frank Lukop. Frank will be quite happy if he does it out of 3:45 today. Frank, of course, a veteran of many marathons. An exceptionally good marathon runner in his prime. Even today, he only runs about 12 or 15 miles a week, but he can still run 3:45. There's not many people in the 50s could do that. Not many people in the 30s could do that. 812. 196 there. That's M. Bentley of Stafford. Well, we've only had 2 ladies in so far. No sign of a third lady yet. 302. Henry. 185, N. Strong of Grimsby. Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean, yeah. M. Simpson, Riddings YAC, just on film.
There's Ben Charles.
Bernie Charlton, it's Singer Darlington there coming in, and Bernie Charles, 98. Not one of Bernie's fastest runs, but he looks like he's suffered a bit later on. Well run, Bernie. It's all over with. Haven't seen George Slater out there, have you? Nobody's seen George Slater. Has George Slater finished? Has he dropped out? Has he come across a lot? Here they come. It's a good finish here. Yeah, Springhead strikes again. Jay Berry. Well finished. Along with Kay Barker, his Springhead teammate. Well run. Springhead rules again, eh? Now, here he comes. This is actually George Slater. George Slater is suffering. I'll say one thing for George, he always finishes. No matter how much he goes down the nick, he always finishes.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. He's cost me a quid today, do you realise that? I should never bet with Scotsman. No. I had a back on with Alan Fowley, but he would win. Probably that he'd get under 3 hours. Do you think we could have a smile, Mr. Slater? Could we have a smile? This car is Gilbury off. Collapsed. We've had all our video of the whole.
Anybody else coming up there?
Only Pete Chapman if he came. And I'd suggest if you switch the video off, do it a couple of minutes to come across the line. That's about the last of the whole run of that of the Belgium tonight. Did you play to that? Yeah. Did you lose a little bit, George? Yeah, I thought you did. Yeah, I thought you did. Because you looked really good at Here we have a rather remarkable Tityville athlete, Glenn Hood. Late 50s. Glenn runs about 2 marathons a weekend, usually, or walks them. It's quite common for him to probably go and have a 20-mile walk now to warm down. But well run, Glenn. 3:17. Glenn's one of the North experts on the public footpath of East Riding. Well, we're coming towards the end of our commentary now. We're going to have to wind off a bit now. We're on to 3 hours 18 on the clock. We've seen a fair range of runners in. We've been running almost for an hour. We're not able to record many more. We haven't got the time on the video really. I think everybody can say today that they've had a fair crack of the whip. It was very warm early on in the race. It turned cool, a little bit too cool perhaps later on. But at least we've not been troubled by the gales that have afflicted the event in the past. On reflection, it's a well-organised event. A number of people have achieved the goals. The course record's been broken. And a number of people, of course, have lost out, as usually is the case about it, and not got quite what they wanted. But nevertheless, there's a good finish for you. And what a way to finish our commentary on the marathon for this year.